Hello, everyone. This is Toronto Stevie live with the weekend in wrestling, and let me tell you, it certainly was quite a jam-packed weekend, and it actually didn't even start in WWE because the Saturday night started off with an incredible wrestling match in AAA Mexico that I recommend everybody tune in to watch. It was the Mask versus Mask match, the original El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano, Mask versus Mask. This one was probably a definite match of the year candidate. Both guys giving quite the performance, and as you can recall, the whole thing started on Monday Night Raw a long time ago. I recapped it during one of the Raw reports on In Your Head Wrestling Radio. As you can recall, if you believe it, I called it Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Chad Gable went in search of a man who gave him a box. And that's how it all started. The next thing you know, on Raw, somebody called El Grande Americano showed up. It was just basically Chad Gable wearing a mask. And WWE treated it like a comedy gimmick, you know. The announcers treated it like, and it was kind of like that. And then I believe it was Chad Gable who got a neck injury and he couldn't wrestle. And so they needed someone else to play the part. And Ludwig Kaiser, who was sort of the right hand man to Gunther, really didn't have much going for him, and so he kind of showed up wearing the mask, and he became the El Grande Americano. And who do we got here, Mr. Jobo? Okay, Anthony, how's it going? Did you watch the Mask versus Mask match? And if you did, let me know what you think. I thought it was a match of the year candidate. So um, Ludwig Kaiser starts wearing the mask, and the announcers on Raw notice, oh, wait a minute, this is a different guy. He's a bit taller. And um, WWE just basically treated it like a joke. Well, um, in Mexico, however, they treat this stuff very seriously. And they had a very serious feud. Um, I'm sure even the Mexican wrestling fans knew exactly what was going on here. Um, he had a, I mean, I wish I could, I had enough time to watch this feud, but one thing I did notice in, uh, it was a difference of night and day between the United States and Mexico. In WWE, Chad Gable and Ludwig Kaiser are just a couple of mid-card wrestlers in a feud that no one took very seriously. However, in Mexico, they are main event players, main event talents in probably the most important feud going today in Mexico. And they had quite the match. Um, I believe the match was like 30, between 30 and 35 minutes long. They even had entrances with mariachi bands. They had video packages explaining the history of El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano. Um, definitely um, uh, a lot of hoopla over this. And the match itself was fantastic. Um, you had the crowd was really into it. You had blood. You had each wrestler trying to tear the other's mask off. And like I said, in Mexico, they treat this stuff very seriously. And you had um, um, the henchmen kind of getting involved. You had the Creed brothers, um, and Julius and Brutus Creed under masks, and you had Ryo and Bravo. I believe that's Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. all four guys getting involved. And eventually, you had Ludwig Kaiser hitting his finishing move, pinning Chad Gable after 35 minutes. And um, afterwards, per the stipulation, Chad Gable unmasked. He then cut a promo. He brought his family into the ring, and he just proudly declared that Ludwig Kaiser, well, they never used his name. Um, they never used his name, but he declared that El Grande Americano, the surviving one, was the only El Grande Americano, and Chad Gable would return eventually. Good babyface promo from Gable, putting over Ludwig Kaiser. And this, of course, was after, if you remember, Ludwig got arrested. And at that time, I think I said that, it's one thing in WWE you don't want to do is get in trouble with the law. But he was able to get to Mexico, get to this incredible match. Again, the weekend started off fantastic with this match. I think you could probably find it either on YouTube or on the WWE website, but I highly recommend checking it out. It's a fantastic match. Go ahead and check it out. But then that was Saturday night. Sunday night was WWE Clash in Italy. It happened at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And this one was from Turin, Italy. You had, I think it was about 5 matches were on the card. Alicia Taylor was your ring announcer. And the show actually opens up with the undisputed WWE Championship match. Cody Rhodes defending the title against Gunther. You'd had Gunther attacking Cody Rhodes earlier, been the build-up, putting him in the sleeper hold, putting him out. And so Gunther, he was the World Heavyweight Champion on Raw. He comes over to SmackDown. This one was pretty good. You had the Italian fans were really into this because they were following WWE. Gunther trying to use I think it was Cody Rhodes hit an early crossroads to try and get a quick pin. Gunther got out of it. Gunther coming back with trying to hit the sleeper hold, and Cody getting out of it. Cody going for the disaster kick and the Cody cutter, and sometimes Gunther would cut him off. Definitely showing that either one of these guys could probably win the match at any time. And sure enough, this one didn't go as long as I thought it was going to go. But eventually, Cody did hit his moves, the Cody cutter and another crossroads and disaster kicks. And Gunther, the finish actually came. I think Cody hit the crossroads near the ropes, and then when he went for the pinfall, Gunther got his foot under the rope before the referee even counted 1, but the referee didn't see this, and he counted 2, and he counted 3, and just like that, in about 10 minutes, between 10 and 15 minutes, Cody Rhodes had won the match, and Gunther immediately protested. Now, maybe it was just the camera angles, but when this eventually happened, I was kind of wondering what was going on, and it had to take the replays, which showed the other angles, which showed why Gunther was upset, and you could clearly see his foot under the ropes. But then I think for some bizarre reason, by the time the referee counted 3, Gunther had raised his foot in the air. I don't know what they were trying to kick out or what, but anyway, um, definitely he's going to have a bone to pick with Nick Aldis on SmackDown this week, protesting the finish of the match. It kind of reminded me of uh, if you remember Chris Benoit winning the WCW World Heavyweight title from Sid Vicious when Sid's foot was under the rope and referee Arn Anderson didn't see it. What did Anthony had to say? Said, I watch Running Man. Oh, is that the original one with the original movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? You mean that movie? Um, that was one of the Schwarzenegger movies, actually, that I've never seen from start to finish. I've seen a lot of them, but that was one of them that I haven't seen, Anthony. Um, so we go backstage, and you have you had a lot of WWE stars actually were shown in sitting at ringside. LA Knight, Montez Ford, Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez, and Raquel Rodriguez. You have a backstage segment, Oba Fenny preparing for his match. And then we go back to the ring. And the second match of the night, WWE Women's Championship, the champion Rhea Ripley defending the title against Jade Cargill. And this one, I kind of thought all along that Rhea Ripley was going to retain the title, and I was correct. Jade Cargill did get a lot of offense early on. She was just dominating Rhea Ripley. She even did some Scott Steiner push-ups at one point just to show off. You had Rhea Ripley trying to go for the kind of go for the Riptide. Jade Cargill trying to go for the Jaded. And they would get out of these moves. You had Rhea Ripley also trying to do a Razor's Edge. Jade Cargill got out of that. Good back and forth throughout the entire match. Eventually, I think Rhea Ripley did hit the Razor's Edge. And but I think Jade Cargill got, if she went for the pin, I can't remember if she did, but Jade Cargill didn't got out of it. So I think you had Meechin and B-Fab did come down to the ring to try to interfere in the match, and I think Rhea did go for a pinfall, and was it B-Fab? Yeah, I think it was B-Fab. All she had to do was grab Jade's foot and put it on the ropes behind the referee's back and allow Jade to break the pinfall. But she kind of missed her. And I think Jade had to put her own foot on the ropes to make sure that the referee saw it. That was the only sort of screw up in the entire thing. And then the referee reacted like B-Fab actually did it when actually she didn't even touch Jade's foot. And it looked like the referee was going to kick B-Fab out of the arena when Charlotte Flair just kind of appeared out of nowhere and started beating up on B-Fab and Meechin. This allowed Rhea Ripley to hit the Riptide and pin Jade Cargill 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. Like I said, I thought Rhea Ripley was going to defend the title all along. But now that Rhea Ripley has defeated Jade Cargill 2 times now, I'm predicting that Jade is... if she's going to go after another title, they could always move her over to Raw, and she could challenge Liv Morgan, or she could go into the tag team division, or who knows. But I have a feeling that Rhea Ripley now is going to probably face new challengers. The only name that really stands out is Charlotte Flair, although she could be in a program now with Jade Cargill. But we just have to see what transpires there. Um, you have they announced that oh yeah, they had some Brazilian stars at ringside. Didn't know who any of these people are. Um, but the third match of the night, the most anticipated rematch, according to Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi for the rematch. I had said, um, I'm not sure if I made a prediction on this, um, but they kind of went in a different direction than what I thought was going to go, because you basically had Brock Lesnar. He didn't take Obafemi to Suplex City. He kind of took Obafemi to F5 City by hitting 7 F5s on Obafemi, including one through the announce table. He just took out Obafemi from almost from start to finish. I think Obafemi didn't even get a chance to hit his finishing move at all. Um, but the fall from grace. So Brock Lesnar, I think it was like the seventh F5. Um, he got a clean pin over Obafemi. Afterwards, I thought this was probably, I don't know whether this was a good idea or not, so early in the match, having Obafemi lose. Um, I mean, he is almost like the second coming of Bill Goldberg, and I don't know whether giving him defeats this early on the main roster was a good idea. What does Anthony have to say here? Um, oh, well, you're watching the remake. Oh, Anthony was watching the remake of The Running Man. I've never seen that one either, Anthony. Um, so Brock Lesnar wins the second match, and there's probably going to be a third match. Most likely, the two-night SummerSlam. I think it's taking place in Minnesota, which is Brock Lesnar's home state. So, like, um, if Brock Lesnar is going to legitimately retire, I think you're going to see Obafemi retiring Brock Lesnar and not Gunther. I think Gunther is probably going to get another match with Cody Rhodes. It could be even at SummerSlam. They could drag that out until SummerSlam. So, but like I said, I think Brock Lesnar winning the second match, it follows, the sort of the pattern of WWE, where one guy wins one match and then the other guy wins the other match, and then they got to have, because they're tied 1-1, they've got to have a third match. And that's been the pattern of WWE in numerous feuds, including this one. So then the next match of the night, match number 4 for the Women's Intercontinental title, the champion Becky Lynch defending the title against Sol Ruca. And I had remarked that I think when Sol was still, she was still on the NXT roster, she did get a Saturday night's main event match against Bayley, and she beat her. But then she had that match in NXT in which her opponent threw her off the balcony area and she fell through a table. That was just freaking irresponsible. I mean, like, yes, they're professional wrestlers, but they're not stunt people. And I thought Sol Ruca took an unnecessary fall in that match. And then she comes up to the main roster, and the first match that what she has on the main roster in WWE Raw is against Liv Morgan, and she loses. Second match is against Io Sky, and she loses. So the third match, Becky Lynch and I think she won by disqualification in a pretty bad match. I mean, and so her fourth match is this one, the Intercontinental title match on Clash in Italy. Now, Anthony is saying, well, I'm doing fine, Anthony. It's weekend was went by way too fast. So in this one, actually, Jessica Carr was the referee. Again, another Becky Lynch match, and Sol Ruka was flying around the ring. Becky Lynch was really putting her over. I did notice something. There was something I just saw on Twitter tonight, that at one point in the match, Sol Ruka was out of position, and Becky Lynch, doing her best John Cena impersonation, basically yelled out for everybody to hear to move into the right position. Sol Ruka did, and that allowed Becky Lynch to hit I think it was a Hulk Hogan leg drop onto Sol Ruka. You can find that on Twitter. I just found it, and it's very audible that Becky is telling Sol what to do. But at one point, Becky tried to go for a Soul Snatcher and was not able to hit the move. However, Sol Ruka did hit a manhandle slam, tried to pin Becky with her own move, but Becky got out of it. Sol also did an X Factor off the top rope. Managed to hit that move and tried to pin Becky, but Becky didn't get it. But eventually, Becky Lynch, or Sol Ruka, did eventually hit the Soul Snatcher, pin Becky Lynch 1, 2, 3, and so they actually put the WWE Women's Intercontinental title on Sol Ruka. And afterwards, I think she might have cut a promo, or maybe it was a backstage interview. I just hope that she's really got to make sure that she doesn't have any more screw ups with this move, and she's definitely someone with a rocket strapped to her back. So we'll see how her career goes. And this led to the World Heavyweight Championship match, the Tribal Combat match. Roman Reigns defending the undisputed title against Jacob Fatu, or could be the WWE title, or the World Heavyweight title. So many friggin' titles in WWE. So, Jacob Fatu, they've been doing a pretty good job of showing Jacob Fatu as the underdog against Roman Reigns. However, their first match, Jacob Fatu lost, so he challenges Roman Reigns to Tribal Combat. And I don't know, I'm kind of questioning the result of this match as well, because immediately Jacob went for the Tongan Death Grip. Roman Reigns struggled to get out of it, and at one point, I think he went under the ring. He grabbed a toolbox, and then he used the toolbox to smash it onto Jacob's right hand. And the announcers were saying, well, this was a smart move by Roman to try and prevent the Tongan Death Grip if Jacob's hand was hurting. And I had read something or heard something on the internet that Jacob Fatu may have hurt his back while on tour, and this might explain why the finish of the match, even Jacob was healthy enough to do the match, but spoiler alert, Roman Reigns won the match, and the reason he won the match could be that Jacob was not healthy enough, or I probably have to do some more investigating into this. But nonetheless, Roman Reigns was hitting spears. Um, Jacob Fatu, I think at one point he did try to go for the mighty moonsault, but Roman got out of the way. Eventually, he did hit the mighty moonsault, but Roman kicked out. Um, and Roman then took out all the turnbuckles, and um, he speared Jacob through a table at one point. Um, and eventually, he hit another spear. Jacob finally pinned Jacob clean in the ring. 1, 2, 3, retained the title. Now, the stipulation for this match was that if Jacob lost, he would have to just rejoin Bloodline 7.0, 10.0, or whatever the new version of the Bloodline is, and acknowledge Roman Reigns as the tribal chief. Now, interesting in the post match was Roman would put, I think the Usos came down to the ring. Roman put the Ulafala back on. He grabbed his championship belt, started walking up the rampway, and as Jacob was getting out of the ring, he looks over at ringside, and who is standing at ringside? None other than the MFTs, Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Talatonga, and the Usos see Jacob, see this, and they basically tell Jacob, follow your tribal chief or something like that. And Jacob reluctantly goes up the rampway following Roman Reigns as Clash in Italy ended. I'd have to say I certainly enjoyed the wrestling. The booking, however, again, I question Obafemi winning, Obafemi losing to Brock Lesnar so quickly. And because I thought Jacob's story was more compelling than Roman's, I kind of question why they wouldn't put the belt on Jacob Fatu, if only briefly. I thought there was no reason to do that. So this heads into Monday Night Raw. Let's get into the Raw report. Raw was once again coming from Turin, Italy. You get a recap of Clash in Italy. And backstage immediately, there is we cut backstage, and it is a vehicle showing up. Roman Reigns and the Usos show up. Roman celebrating, and they come down to the ring, and Roman Reigns takes a victory lap with the Usos. The crowd's really getting into it, and I think Roman calls out Jacob Fatu. Jacob comes down to the ring, and the long and short of it is, even though Jacob's storyline was indeed more compelling than Roman Reigns, at the end of the day, Jacob Fatu acknowledges Roman Reigns and accepts him as the tribal chief. And even though it was Jey Uso who was kind of acting heelish in this, nonetheless, it was Jacob accepting his new role, I guess, as serving the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. I don't quite know where they're going in this, whether or not this is it for Jacob's run in the main event, or what they're going to do. But this was, or whether they're setting up, it could be a feud with Jey Uso. I wouldn't be surprised, because Jey was acting really heelish in this opening segment. The commentary team talk about the mask versus mask match at AAA Mexico, and then we get some superstar arrivals, a video package for the King and the Queen of the Ring tournament, which begins tonight, and they announce the very first match will take place. And By the time the opening match of the night happened, I think I counted it was almost like 30 minutes into the show. That opening segment just went on forever, plus all the video packages. 30 minutes before the opening match, it was the King of the Ring qualifying, and all of these are going to be fatal four ways. You had Penta versus Solo Sikoa versus Carmelo Hayes versus Oba Femi. And if anybody thought Oba, they booked Oba just perfectly in this match. They had all the other guys trying to take out Oba Femi, but Oba Femi would come back and basically beat down everybody. This went through a commercial break. They tried to get Oba Femi out of the ring, and by doing that, um, the other guys could have felt they had a chance, but Oba Femi basically came back to the ring. I think he attacked Solo Sikoa, and I think he hit Solo Sikoa with the fall from grace, pinned Solo Sikoa 1, 2, 3, and so into the semifinals of the King of the Ring tournament is Oba Femi. And so, Oba, after the match, Oba Femi did grab a microphone and he cut a promo. And he basically said, he told Brock Lesnar, he took the best Brock Lesnar could give him, but he's still standing. And then he says, Lesnar, we're 1-1, and I will see you down the line. So this is just a definite tease of Lesnar versus Femi 3, probably in SummerSlam in Minnesota. So we go backstage, and there's Sol Ruka. She's walking backstage, coming back from the commercial break. They advertise a FanFest Fanatic in New York City. And then Sol Ruka comes down to the ring, and I think she cut a promo as the new Women's Intercontinental Champion. She puts over Becky Lynch, and she now wants to know who her next challenger is going to be. And then the commentary team. They showed a brief video post clash in Italy of an encounter between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. It certainly seemed that they were teasing a lot of matches down the road. This was one of them. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, the champions on the respective brands. They used to do this at Survivor Series, where the champion on one brand would fight the champion on the other brand. They could be setting up something similar to this as well. So you had so I think you had Roman Reigns kind of encouraging Jey Uso to win the King of the Ring tournament and go for the other title, basically Cody's title. I almost feel like Roman Reigns is teasing, go for the other title, and Jey will turn around. If Jey wins, he would turn around and fight Roman Reigns. So Roman seems to be setting up feuds. He's got this ongoing one with Jacob Fatu. He just beat him. Teasing one with Cody Rhodes. He could have one with Jey Uso. You just never know where they're gonna go. Anyway, coming back from the commercial break, we have a tag team match. It was Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee taking on All Eagle, Ethan Page, and Rusev. And it seems a few weeks into his debut in WWE, Ethan Page is basically a jobber. He's in there to take the pinfalls. At least Rusev isn't taking the pinfall in these matches, but even his booking has not been all that great. Rusev probably should, he looks like a monster, and he probably should be um, booked a whole lot better than he is. But nonetheless, it was the masked guys. I think it was Rey Mysterio hit Ethan Page with a 619 and pinned him. Winners of the match, Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. And then you had a backstage segment with LA Knight and Adam Pearce. LA Knight was mocking Adam Pearce for basically feeling oozy. In other words, kowtowing to Roman Reigns. Once again, the commentary team talk about the mask versus mask match. And they showed the post match where Chad Gable took his mask off and cut his promo. And then they hyped the AAA Triple Mania event. Night 1 will be in Las Vegas. Night 2 will be in Mexico City. Coming back from the commercial break, it is the opening match in the Queen of the Ring tournament. First round match, fatal 4-way, Io Sky versus Roxanne Perez versus Julia versus Lash Legend. And much like the opening match, you had the 3 smaller girls trying to take out Lash Legend, but Lash Legend used her power to come back. But it wasn't, unlike the opening match, the big girl didn't win. It was Io Sky hitting the over the moonsault on, I'm not sure it was Julia. Yeah, I think it was Julia. She hit it on Julia, pinned her 1, 2, 3. So it was Io Sky advancing to the semifinals. It certainly could get her back into the title picture if she wins the Queen of the Ring tournament. Io celebrates, and there is a backstage segment with Maxine Dupree and Adam Pearce. And afterwards, Otis and Tozawa, it was Otis who was questioning Maxine's backstage flirtation with Austin Theory. I don't know what's going on, but Maxine assures Otis and Tozawa there's nothing to worry about. You could see a heel turn for Maxine coming from a mile away. Maybe. Anyway, there's a backstage segment with Bailey and Lyra Valkyria. And later with Sol Ruka, and WWE commentary hypes up the European tour. And you have the Judgment Day complaining about Roxanne Perez not advancing, not winning her match. And I think this eventually built up to the main event of the evening. It was Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker. In recent weeks, the Vision has been hit, has been snake bit. You had Logan Paul is going to be out for months, rehabbing from his injury. And so Austin Theory and Braun Breaker are now the tag team champions by default, using the old Freebird rule, I guess. But at the same time, Seth Rollins has this ongoing feud with the Vision, promising, I think in recent weeks, promising to take out the Vision one by one. And so the main event was Rollins versus Breaker. A good back and forth here, and something different, different from the weekend shows. Breaker, he did the Frankensteiner. I think they're calling it now the Frankensteiner instead of the Frankensteiner. He got that on Seth Rollins. Rollins was doing buckle bombs. I think he did. He eventually did get uh, um, at least one buckle bomb. Coming back from the commercial break. Um, you had Rollins doing his suplex, and I can't remember what that other. But I think Breaker got out of it. Oh, the Falcon Arrow. That's right. The suplex into the Falcon Arrow. Yes, he did hit that. Um, you had Breaker trying to go for the spear, and at one point, um, Rollins was standing at ringside, and Breaker got out of the ring, and it looked like he was going to run Seth Rollins through the barricade, but instead he took out Paul Heyman, and um, Paul Heyman basically took the move. But before that, Austin Theory came out, and I think and Paul Heyman had distracted the referee and was trying to get Theory to hit Rollins with one of the tag team titles. But this brought out Montez Ford, who came into the ring, and he took out Austin Theory, but he left the tag team title into the ring, and this basically allowed Rollins to grab the tag team title belt, and he let Braun Breaker spear him, but it kind of reminded me of again, like Bret Hart and Goldberg, when Bret Hart had the thing underneath the Toronto Maple Leafs jersey and Goldberg knocked himself out. Well, the same thing happened here. Braun Breaker spears Seth Rollins. He smacked his head into the championship belt, knocked himself out, and this allowed Rollins to recover, hit a stomp, hit the curb stomp, and pin Braun Breaker 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. Seth Rollins wins the match. A good, entertaining main event. Nonetheless, that was Monday Night Raw. Despite all of the backstage stuff, I still thought this was probably a good show. And considering the recent weeks of a thumbs down after thumbs down of all the shows, I will definitely give a thumbs up to this week's Monday Night Raw. It was certainly probably one of the best Raws in the last month for WWE. And that's saying something, because a lot of stuff that I've been reviewing has been really bad. But this was a good show. So, good main event. I recommend the main event at least. So, take a look at that. And, but definitely the match of the weekend that I highly recommend everybody see was the El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano match from AAA Mexico. Take a look at that, because that was a really good match. That was all the wrestling that happened this weekend. I'm all tired out, so I think I'll go to bed. Nonetheless, have a good night, everybody, and I am out of here. Bye-bye.